Representative Pat Boyd here. Give a shout to Pat. I'll tell you what, I watched her fight all session, all the time, even nitpicking at all those words as best she could to try to protect you from this supermajority that literally came in and just destroyed our state government. They're taking money from our local cities. They're taking money from all of our schools. They're trying to cut our health care. And she was there fighting for our voting rights and fighting for our environment every single day. She and all the wonderful Democrats who fight, and even though they know that they're just going to be voted down, they still are speaking up every day.
Thank you, Pat!
So I'm going to hand it off to her.
Thank you. I am not the savior of the world. I'm really not all that, you know? But I don't have a planned speech here either. But we are in a really scary place right now. James Madison actually said that if our country were ever to fall, it would fall from within, and that's just what's happening here. We are not being attacked from outside. We are being attacked from our very leaders. It's a scary, scary world right now. I want to talk to you about elections. Have you all voted in the last bunch of elections? Everybody here voted? All right. We need to make sure that everybody that we know goes out and votes on election day. They need to find out who's running and what they stand for. We need to make sure that they are available and eligible to vote. They have instituted this year at the state, instituted proof of identification at the polls will not include college IDs issued by a state college, which is just absolutely nuts. It's been that way since 2014 when they instituted the voter ID.
Hands off our civil rights!
Yes. And this year they also added to the proof of identification for election for registration to vote. If you know anybody who hasn't registered to vote yet, tell them they have to bring their birth certificate and something that matches their birth certificate, like a driver's license or something. They're making it really difficult for people to vote. They say it's to make elections secure. We have been told year after year, until Trump came in, that Indiana has the most secure elections in the country. We still do, but they're trying to make it harder for people to get in there to vote.
Stop the oppression!
Thank you. Yes. The Senate Bill 10 would take, you have to have your birth certificate and another form of ID that matches your voter, your birth certificate to register to vote if you haven't already registered. If you have registered and you're going to move, you're going to still need that. So if you're a woman and you changed your name when you got married and it doesn't match your birth certificate, you're going to have to get your marriage license or your divorce papers or whatever you have that shows that what your name is now identifies with the person on that birth certificate, or they won't let you sign up to vote. They won't let you continue to vote if you're already a voter. This is very similar to what the federal government is trying to institute, and the House has already approved what they call the SAVE Act. And it's just an awful, awful thing because they want to make sure that it makes it very hard for people who have a hard time getting all that information together to actually come in and register to vote. I think it's unconscionable. I really do. I voted against it. I talked against it. We also have made, let's see, it's in 2020, I think it was, that we removed the secretary of, the superintendent of public instruction from the voter, from the elected officials position. And now it is appointed by the governor. They did that because they were going to take politics out of government. And then this year, they made school board elections partisan, which is just like, why? There were people that came to this commission meeting that talked about, oh, we were all working together and we were all defeated by those Democrats. They didn't know that they were Democrats. They assumed they were Democrats. And the person who actually submitted the bill, Senator Byrne, got the bill from a woman who was on the Republican side that wanted to get elected, and she didn't win her election. So she wanted to make sure that it was a partisan election. There were 3 school boards there, all from the same area, that pushed for this. There was pushback from a lot of people, the League of Women Voters, the ACLU, a couple other groups, the School Board Association. I even offered a plan where they said that it was really hard for people to find out what they stood for. I offered a plan and an amendment to say that they could post their information on the school board website, and everybody would have the same opportunity. They could have that on there. No, they didn't want that. That wasn't good enough. They wanted people to know what their party was because they wanted them to know what their morals are.
They want mega donors.
And the only other thing I have to say about that is, you distracted me. Now I got to remember what I was talking about.
Infiltrating our school system.
We was talking about the school boards and the elections. It cuts out people who work for the government, anybody who works for a federal agency or a nonprofit organization that is supported by majority by a government agency or a grant will not be able to run for school board. My plan was to let everybody hear this, but the people that were there said they wanted people to know their party because they wanted people to know their morals. Like, Democrats don't have morals? I don't think that's accurate. But they just were very, very obstinate about it, and they passed that bill. The Republicans passed that bill in spite of all of our Democrats that voted against it. They are trying to take over the state. There was a resolution that was offered by one of the legislators, and she got 27 people to sign on to it, and it was referred to committee the day after the deadline for voting on it, considering that resolution. That resolution was to say that Indiana is a Christian state, which is totally against our Constitution and the state and the federal Constitution. We have a separation of church and state, and they wanted to make us a Christian state. I thought that was just unbelievable. Anyway, that's what I wanted to talk about. I hope you spread this word to everybody that they need to make sure that they are registered, and if they aren't and they want to register, they need to bring their birth certificate and proof of residence, and if their birth certificate does not match their name now, they need to bring something to show why it was changed. I think it's basically a poll tax, because people have to go out and get copies of documents that they might not have. But July 1st. It starts July 1st. And thank you very much for being here, all of you. You're doing a great job. I appreciate you.